Okay. Hi, everybody. Today we're going to be talking about men and women and emotions. I'm Mona Lazar. I'm from Romania. I'm a writer on Medium, and I'm also a YouTuber. And I'm here with some lovely ladies from all over the world. And I'm going to ask them to introduce themselves so I don't butcher their names. Please, ladies.
Okay, I'm Patsy Ferguson. I'm the editor-in-chief of Fourth Wave on Medium. And what else? I guess that's it. I'm calling in from San Francisco. I'm so happy to be here with all of you.
Okay, I'm Esther Wana Edit. I'm an editor at Fox Wave, and I'm in Nigeria. I'm a Nigerian, and that's all.
Okay,
So,
I am Muniba Kasi. I am from Pakistan and I am very happy to be here. Thank you.
Hooray.
Happy you're here with me, ladies. Um, so we're talking today about emotions in the workplace, in our lives, and basically this age-old question: who's more emotional, men or women? And I guess it's an age-old question only for some of us because the general knowledge has been that women are much more emotional than men, and they've always been this way. But as we know, a lot of things that are considered well known for generations or for centuries doesn't mean they're exactly that way. And this whole conversation today was prompted by an article from Fourth Wave on Medium, and that article was prompted by something my father said about women's emotions. Now you have to imagine my dad. He is, I call him the last remaining Marlboro man. He is exactly that type. He is a huge smoker, but it's not about that. He is one of those old type men, old school men. He is rugged and he never shows his emotions, and he's brooding, and the whole type. And he's a huge tennis fan. And when he's not in his garden, pottering around, whatever he's doing there, he is watching tennis matches, much to my mother's annoyance, because he's always there, always doing that. And his favorites are tennis matches played by women. And she doesn't have a lot of interest in men playing. And I asked him what's going on. And he said that he prefers those because women are less emotional than men. I was like,
oh,
yeah. I was like, well, if my father says that, if he noticed that, and he's not exactly a feminist, maybe maybe there's something behind it. So I did a little research, and actually there was a huge study on tennis. I think it was 8,200 tennis matches, and where they found that actually women, in tennis at least, are much less emotional than men in tennis. And these were high performance matches between high performance people. So they were matches from the Grand Slam. Um, and so my question was, okay, these are high performance people, but does that happen in real life as well? On the other hand, when we're talking about leadership positions for both men and women, we don't expect regular day-to-day people to be doing jobs like that. We're expecting high performance people in leadership positions. And if this is in leadership positions where women are less emotional than men, then why do we have so many men and so little women in these leadership positions? For example, in Forbes, I think it was about 2 years ago, only 10% of CEOs were women, which is a very low number. So, what are we doing? Why don't we have more women in leadership positions of any kind if we want in these places people who aren't as emotional, who can make decisions that are not based on emotion but on cold logic? Um, and I was wondering what's the situation in your countries, because in Romania, for sure, women are seen as more emotional. We supposedly cry more. We're well, wherever there's an emotion, we are going to feel it and show it. Whereas it's supposed that men don't do that. But if you see anybody getting angry about anything whatsoever, that's a man in most cases. So I was wondering what's going on in your countries.
Mm, should I go first?
Sure.
Okay. So I don't think it's a thing of women being less emotional. I think it's more of a thing of women being able to recognize their emotions and regulate it more properly. Because I've been told like since they were very little that they are very emotional. They're always accused of being emotional, they're accused of being crybabies. So women are more able to regulate their emotions. They're able to like recognize their emotions and handle it better than men are because they are told they're emotional. So, and also in leadership here in Nigeria, I think I think less than 1% of women. That's I'm talking about the at the government. I think it's less than 1% of those in government that are women. So it's like really little. I think
Yes.
in like the House of Assembly, maybe out of like 100 plus, maybe just three are women. And they do try to shut women out of those positions. So it's not like women are not trying to get there. They do everything to make sure they do not get there. I remember there's this very popular senator because she's very outspoken, like she does not allow people to shut her up. So she's very, very popular. And when she was running for the seats, the Senate seats, they actually dug up the road to her constituency. Like they actually destroyed the road so where they were going to vote so that they don't go there to vote. Like it was a whole
Wow.
Jesus.
very fun. Like they dug up the road. Like they destroyed an entire road in the middle of the night so people don't go the next day to vote for this woman. And she had to contest in court and shift the election date.
Wow, that's amazing.
It
They're
is.
paying attention, but they're trying to make sure this man does not get to the Senate House. And when they shifted the election date and they moved the location, people actually went to vote for her and she won. So like they do everything to make sure because they say, oh, women are very emotional, women are this and that. So they do everything to make sure women don't get to those positions over here.
Well, of course, that figures. That
Yeah.
that tracks with maybe most places.
I in our country, we had a woman try to run for president for the first time, Hillary
You know,
Clinton, and everybody was sure she was going to win because Donald Trump was such a maniac. And it was astonishing that people would rather vote for a man, any man, a crazy man, a horrible racist, misogynist, cheater with a long history of crimes he committed
yeah.
rather than a woman. And that was a very big disappointment because a lot of us women thought she was going to win. I mean, all the media said she was going to win. So we all thought, oh, we've really come a long way and we're going to have a woman president. No. And someone who's very popular is Michelle Obama, the wife of Obama. But she said recently in an interview, don't even ask me to run. America isn't ready. We're not ready for a woman. We're not going to elect a woman. It's disappointing.
Yeah, and imagine if America is not ready for a female president. Imagine how it is in other parts of the world.
Yeah. How about you, Mooney? What's the situation, the political situation? Are there women in government?
There was very famous politician Benazir Bhutto. Did you hear her name? You know her? No. Okay. She was Benazir Bhutto. She was very
Oh,
famous.
yes.
She did very, yes, Benazir Bhutto, yes. And she was killed. Bullet was shot on her chest. She died. She was one of the strongest lady. Like she was the like someone. Our brothers were killed. Our father was killed when she comes to this politics, and she did very great job, doing very good for country. Like she did, she made so many hospitals for Pakistan, so many universities. She did very good work, but I think it seems like that no one is ready for women. She was always criticized that she is someone very emotional and someone that she wants to take revenge of her brother, but she never said that. She said, I am taking revenge, uh, like I want to change system, not I don't want revenge or something. So I think uh, we are not ready for women, and there are no one. They don't take anyone. Like there is now another politician, Mariam Nawaz, and take her serious. If she did some good work, everyone said that, oh, she is doing it for fame. She did this surgery. She did that like no surgery and this, and women only want this for herself. But she is doing great job. But again, everyone is thinking that she is doing only surgeries on her face, but she is doing great job. Like she changed Punjab, like Punjab is a province of Pakistan. She changed it like for good. She is doing very great job, but everyone is focused on her physical. Yeah, like I don't think if any woman is taking care of herself, is not supposed to take care of country. Like she can do multitasking. Like if everything, man can do this, but if a woman is taking care of herself, grooming herself, everyone is like, oh yes, she is doing only this and nothing else. So these are going in our country nowadays.
Okay, you wanted to say something?
Well, just your audio is cutting out a little. I don't know if there's anything you could do about it, but it's kind of staticky. It cuts in and out a little bit, Mooney. So I don't know if you can fix that.
No, the internet outrage.
Oh, they're having an outage, an internet outage?
Yes, yes. It is like we online on mobile data.
Oh, I see. Okay. So thank you for figuring out how to get online even when there's an outage.
Yes, yes, they did. Nowadays that they don't want this government and all this. It's like forever.
The government is just turning off the internet.
Yes, government don't, there is shortage of electricity and gas. So they like today was there was no electricity for 8 hours, no electricity today. So like, and there is gas shortage too, and it's whenever everyone wants gas and electricity, and when the public go and do some, like, they go and ask government just block internet.
Oh, that's terrible.
This is easy way for them.
Well, I feel so
Yeah.
lucky that we have connection, and I hope, that we can keep our connection, because it's wonderful to hear the points of view from people all over the world, and really helps us understand the misogyny and the depth of it everywhere.
I've been accused of emotional. This very popular female politician, the senator, Natasha, she got sexually harassed by the Senate president, and she reported it to the she reported and she made it public. And the case was judged by Senate president. Like, he was the one being accused, and it was also the judge. So he gave her 6 months suspension for accusing him.
Oh,
And then that this is
Oh God.
why women should not be in power, because they are so emotional. Like, look at her going public with something like this. Like, because this apparently they don't say man doing that. So this is why women should not be in power. And they actually wanted to make a law to prevent women from getting into power, because when they get into power, they said women are too emotional, because she was crying and all of that, they it was the old thing, because they said the reason why she was harassed and she was trying to explain that. And they said the reason why she's reacting that way is because she's a woman. And this is why women should not be let into power, because they get too emotional and they don't know how to control their emotions and all of that. Like, even though, but it was the whole thing. She did got suspended. She was suspended for 6 months by the person who apparently sexually harassed her. Even though he has a lot more accusers, she's not the only one that's accused him of sexual harassment. So,
Well, are they aware that men who get abused cry too? Or are they aware that men cry too? Because
I
obviously
think
nobody is, is aware of this. And I think this is one of the problems with the emotion and who's more emotional, women or men, that they don't consider anger an emotion, and they
yeah,
don't consider um, unexpressed emotions. Like if they just happen on the inside, they don't consider that emotion, but they still happen, they still influence actions. um, so maybe the first step we should
and
take would be
is
to with defining emotion.
yeah. In the videos we saw, he was angry, she was
Yeah.
crying, but she was the one accused of being emotional, even though he was angry, and that's an emotion. But they
Yeah,
only see
that's an
crying
acceptable
and things like
emotion
that
while
as
crying is not.
an acceptable emotion for men. So they did not see that as him being emotional. And you have videos of them fighting, like raising chairs in the House of Assembly and all of that. They don't consider that as men being emotional. But when a woman cries on camera, oh, she's very emotional.
Yeah, well, that's very convenient. And also, what Mooney said about that some politician, and they are talking about her constantly, that the surgery that she does to her face or whatever she's doing, I mean, is she doing her job? How is her surgery relevant to anything? It's not. And there's a problem with that, because when we talk about women, we're talking about what they look like, what they feel. But when we're talking about men, we're talking about competence and
Was it?
what they do. And that's not very fair for either part. I mean, men have feelings and they should be allowed to feel. And women are competent and they do things and they should be allowed to do them in whatever is right for them. Now, there are some very emotional women, there are some very emotional men, and I think the situation is much more individual than it is gender specific. And that's why it's very important to not base everything on gender, like women are one way and men are another way. It's very important when we give roles to people to give them roles that are the right roles for them, not for their gender. I think that would make a huge difference in the state of the world.
Yes. And, you know, I'm kind of amazed that women have this reputation of being weak and, you know, unable to take action. Because when you consider what women go through when they go through birth, for example, it's incredible how strong they are. And when they keep the family together, when they do all the work in the house, when they solve everybody's problems, to me those are very leadership quality. Those are qualities of a leader. And I'm always amazed in the Christian religion, we have the Bible, and the one of the first stories that is supposed to be disparaging women is about Eve. God tells Adam and Eve not to eat from the tree of knowledge, and Eve eats from it. And so everybody interprets that to mean women are bad, women are tempting. But in my reading of that story, if she didn't eat from the tree of knowledge, we would be like cows. We would have no knowledge. You know, it's the
Yeah.
knowledge that makes us kind of a different kind of animal. We want that knowledge. And then, even further, she convinces Adam to eat from it. And somehow they decide that makes Adam the leader because he'll follow what someone tells him
Exactly.
to do. And also, then he'll blame her. He won't take accountability for his own eating of the apple. He's like, Eve made me do it. And and so again, I think she shows the leadership, she shows the courage, she shows the intelligence, and yet somehow, even though I don't believe, you know, that this really happened, but even the people who are writing the story, I don't see
Exactly.
it that way.
The examples given of women are a certain way, and look at this story, they don't match. I mean, the story shows one, that women have leadership, that they're smarter, that they're interested in knowledge and logic, and two, that they're not submissive. It's the
Mhm.
guy who's submissive. Hello, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
And even in
Yeah.
very specific
People follow them.
in
Made him
very
eat the
specific male functions, like for in the army, for example, the whole army situation is one leader and everybody else follows blindly. That's a matter of extreme submission. So
yeah.
where do we get women being submissive? It's insane.
I also I
Yeah.
have I want to say I had a student one time, and I've heard this in the manosphere. Not that I go there, but anyway, who said, "Oh, I'd love to have a woman follow me and call out that I'm handsome and that she wants to have sex with me." And you know, what are you complaining about when people are
Yeah.
catcalling you? And I said, well, guess what? You wouldn't feel that way if it was a man following you who was bigger and stronger than you and who wasn't going to take no for an answer. You know, men act like, oh, it's no big deal that somebody grabbed your butt on the bus. You know, why are you crying about that? Yet they would never let anyone do that to them. They
Exactly.
would, yeah. And if it were a big man who did it, that would be kind of the only response they have available. If it's a smaller woman, they could punch her in the face, they can get her off, you know. But if because we're physically usually smaller and weaker, we don't really have that option. So
Like,
we so that's
okay,
why we cry.
even this men I'm trying to explain a video. There's this video that went viral recently because we have a it's a very religious country, so we are more modest with dressing. And there was this lady, she went out with like shorts and a crop top, and she was in the market area. And this man felt like he had to correct her dressing, so he went and poured her.
He did
So
what?
he poured a bucket of water on her. And then she started like crying, like trying to like punch him and all of that. I think that they were trying to calm him down. He was also telling her to calm down. Like he was not a put a bucket of water. And they were trying to like calm him down because he wanted to also beat her up. And we had other men like trying to like calm down, calm down. She's just a woman. But like you just pour her a bucket of water, and then it was saying she's reacting too much, basically. Like she was angry. Like she was like wet from head to toe because he poured her water. And she was very angry. And then it's like I was like, wait, did we not just watch the beginning of this video where he poured her the water? Because then it was the one telling her to calm down because she was being too emotional. She was crying, she was hungry, she was trying to like punch him, but then he was telling her to calm down because this is too much reaction for just
Wow.
what.
And I wanted to say there's also one more component to this. Men asking what's the big problem with women being catcalled and all that, or even being touched. Even if the man is not dangerous in any way and is obviously not dangerous, constantly being desired, constantly being shown sexual desire by endless men daily, at some point, men or women are going to resent it and are going to be fed up with it. And I notice this happens a lot with celebrities, whatever they are, singers, actors, who, especially men in the beginning, are very happy with the situation and a lot of women wanting them, and they sleep with everybody around. It's a thing. It's one of the reasons why they become famous. But then
Yeah,
after a while, they're
you
like,
get
I don't want this anymore. It's too much because it's too, even if it's considered a good thing, too much of a good thing is too much to handle. Too much sugar will give you diabetes. And there's even that component without being anything dangerous. If you're constantly staring at me or coming close or, I don't know, telling me things, yeah, it's too much because I have to deal with this maybe on a daily basis. So there's even that, it doesn't have to be dangerous. But I
yeah.
suppose it's difficult to understand for men who aren't in this situation. But if you ask a rock star who's been in the business for, I don't know, 10 years, he will tell you that, you know, I just had enough. It's so easy. Easy attention is not something anybody appreciates, men or women. But it takes longer for men because they don't have it on a regular basis. So I suppose they cannot empathize with our situation.
I suppose. And also, like, one example is because Nigeria, like I said, it's very religious and it's also very anti-gay. With the example of women being catcalled, men hate it when other gay men show interest in them. Like, and that's one example they always use. Like, women try to use to like show them that, oh, we don't like being catcalled because you also hate it when other men show interest in you.
Yes.
So I don't know. I don't know why they don't get it.
Yeah, it's just a trick. It's a trick. I feel like we've been lied to in order to enslave us. You know, we're told we're less than, and we're incapable, and we're weak, and we're stupid. You know, women couldn't go to college for the longest time. They couldn't go to
Yeah.
school. Oh, it's a waste of money to send you to school. And, you know, what's interesting to me, one of the stories I read was, you know, when charities try to donate to underdeveloped villages, they find if they give the money to a young man who maybe wants to become a doctor, He'll go to school, become a doctor, then he'll go to the big city and make his own fortune. Whereas if they give the money to a woman, she will go become a doctor and then come back to her village and take care of everybody. That women, whether it's because they're socialized that way or they have more natural community spirit biologically, I don't know. But they did find that supporting women was more beneficial. Supporting women's education and advancement helped everyone, whereas supporting men just helped that one man.
Women are socialized to be more like sacrificial. Like they are socialized to like put other people's happiness over theirs. So like I guess that's one of the outcomes of that.
Yeah, that makes sense. And men are socialized to show your excellence, show that you're better than all the other men, to dominate. But that ends up hurting not only women, but also men. All the men who aren't rich or aren't the king or aren't, the person in charge, they also suffer from this kind of training of men to just get on top, be the top one, you know. It's a shame.
Yeah. Here, here in South Asia, that they say that if we make women study, like she go to school or go to university, so she is going to be like free and some kind of slutty free. Like she will do everything, like she will go out with boys and do this and that. Like there is some kind of mentality that if women do something, she is going to do bad things. And I think this start from childhood, that when make some kind of dish in which there is chicken pieces and there is leg piece, it is always for boy or always for son. And they think that if we give them this piece, it's for like something, and this he will return it to us in double form. Like and when we give this to women, whatever, she's going to other house, she will not do anything for us. So I think from family we have to, like, as a mother, as a sister, we don't like. And when men show emotions, when small kid cry, first thing in families they said that, why are you crying, are you women? Like this is like most popular sentence in our society, that when men cry they said, are you women when you are crying? And I think made women like weaker than men. If I'm not women, I will not cry. And then it leads to bigger problems when emotion is suppressed and everything. But I think we can change it, some as women of the family or like this.
No, and I find it's crazy that there's a lot of contradicting information, even in these mainstream concepts, like this story with Adam and Eve, or what you just said with, it's like men are considered the stronger sex, but at the same time, it looks like they're afraid of women. Like if you give a woman something, she will take it and take it away from the house, from the household. Or this thing with women being like children, but at the same time, boys will be boys, and women mature faster. And it's okay if boys are more childish because it's in their nature. I mean, make up your mind. Who is more childish, women or men? Let's decide. Or maybe it's actually not one gender, but it's individual.
It's
But are you trying to speak, Oana? Have you
now I
got?
want to quickly respond to my brother. He said my brother that is not in the house. He said something happened, so I want to quickly respond to him.
Oh, I see. Okay.
I'll be right back. Like I just have to respond to him because he keeps messaging me.
Okay. All right. You do that.
So,
Yes. I mean, life happens and you have to take care of business.
oh, no, let me just call him.
But I do feel, just reading, so being part of Fourth Wave has taught me a lot about other countries around the world because we have contributors from all over the world. And we in America are particularly ignorant about how other people live because it's not really part of what's taught us in schools or shown on television. Um, so it's been very fascinating. I was surprised, I was stupid or ignorant, whatever, to understand that women in India and South Asia go when they're married to live with their mother-in-law, to live with their husband's family. And and that's part of the reason why they're not undervalued because the parents think, well, this child isn't going to be mine when she grows up. She's going to belong to someone else. But here, and I've had some interesting interactions too with my son. One of my sons married an Israeli, and her culture is different than ours. And here, I want my daughter to be independent. I want her to make her own decisions. I want to support her in whatever it is she wants to do. I don't want to tell her. And we do have parents here that do want to tell, but for me, no, I think it's a grave disservice to tell your daughters you have to do this, this is what a good girl does, this is what will please me, this is what you owe me. I don't want to tell her any of that. And I believe as a result, she's a fabulous person. She's wonderful. She's a scientist. She makes a lot of money. She's very smart. She's very loving. She takes care of her children, her family, and she and I are also very close. But in another culture, I see women getting disabled by their parents. It's like their parents cripple them. It, they make them unable to grow up because they're kept in this kind of childlike position. Not all cultures, obviously, but some. And I think it's so important. I think most of the women who have made an impact and been leaders somehow got out from under that, whether it was they were raised differently or they just cast it off. Like we have a new contributor, Gargi, if I'm saying that right, Unsquashable Girl. She has a website or something, and her stories is the stories she tells in on Fourth Wave involve her being oppressed like that, but she just said no. But it takes a lot of courage to say no to whole culture and your parents and all your family and say, no, I'm not going to do it that way. I'm going to do it the way I think is right.
That's definitely the situation in Romania as well, with daughters, but not just daughters, sons as well, just women much more. Romanian families are very enmeshed. And parents are very much in the children's business. Parents need to know everything that's going on. Children need to carry the family's name, legacy, although that name and legacy might mean nothing at all. And any sort of moving away from the family tradition is a betrayal for the family. And that's why you have very few children, adult children, who actually make a name for themselves or manage to escape that culture. Because if you are crippled, emotionally crippled and incapacitated since you're a child, then it's very difficult to get out, to get up from under that.
How did you do it, Mona?
I'm a rebel.
Me?
That's how I did it. I think a lot of people do it this way, the ones who manage to do it. Um, they just, I don't know the exact mechanism, but in some of us, we just decide that it's so horrible that we're going to do the exact opposite. Uh, I think most people decide that it's easier to go with whatever they taught, but some decide that no, this is just, it's too much. And I notice this a lot in a lot of people who are, I don't know, famous maybe, or they were very successful in life some way or another. They come from very traumatic and toxic environments. And those environments are horrible for most people and they keep them down. And it's very difficult for them to succeed in anything. But for some outliers, they somehow manage to get, they just don't give up. They're so, but at the same time, I think it's very difficult to not take a part of the toxicity with you because you need to have the drive and that need to succeed that is more than what your parents taught you. That, you know, you're just not good enough to reach a certain level, or you shouldn't, or it would betray the family, or whatever it was.
It's hard to overcome that
Yeah.
kind of parenting.
Yeah, yeah, it really is. And at some point, I was
Yeah.
I was discussing with some of my friends. That we noticed that all of us and each of us knew a lot of other people and families, and everybody had this structure. Uh, Dominant, angry, absent, and narcissistic maybe father, and a codependent and absent mother. And we were like, what's going on here? How can, are all our friends like that? There has to be one that's not like that. And of course, we found some, very few. But at some point, we also discussed it with a psychologist, and she told us, no, this is the typical Romanian family. Uh, it's enmeshed. It's the father is that typical dominant and angry guy, and the mother is that typical woman who is very careful to all his needs, not at all her needs, and not so much the children's needs, but his needs. And it was the same for me. It was the same for almost everybody I know, almost everybody, people my age, younger, older. Yeah, it was this.
I think that's very bad for the men as well. They think they're in a good position because they have this woman catering to them, but it also keeps them childlike. They're also disabled. They're not able to grow up and be a real man who can act on principle and uphold what's right and be a hero and be a leader. They're just a spoiled baby, who gets every little thing taken care of for them.
Yes, they're spoiled, undisciplined babies, and a lack of discipline leads to unhappiness. I mean, I know a lot of these guys. I've never seen one of them being happy or fulfilled or content with his life. There are some successful ones, That's true, a lot of successful ones, but even they're not enjoying their lives. So what's the point? I mean, you got everything you wanted. You have this woman who is practically your slave. Um, you are the baby of the family, so everybody's taking care of you, and still it's not enough, and probably never will be.
How do you see the family dynamics in your country, Mooney?
Like Mona says that this is some kind of like this, but when my daughter was born, so my mother said that I'm very happy for you that you got your friend, like she is going to be your friend. But what I thought that I don't want her to be my friend. Like I was friend of my mother like my whole life. I don't remember when I was child. I never like my mother, like there was a huge family in-laws. She was living with her mother-in-law, father-in-law, and many brother-in-laws and sister-in-laws. And she was always busy in kitchen. I don't remember my mother like in childhood. And she always tell me the things like he did this to me and he did this that to me, and like I remember everything in my childhood. I felt very bad about these things. I don't like my father side family this much because of like what my mother told me about them. And and when I was like when I was getting married, I didn't enjoy my marriage, like my wedding day, because I was constantly thinking about my mother, that what will she do when I am this away from her. And like I think that like you said that some kind, some type of they crippled their kids, they made them disabled to do things for themselves. Like I still think that I think more about them than me. Like if I get some kind of money from anything, I never buy dress for myself. I think that what if my mother is not buying anything? I'm going to send her money first. Like I don't want this for my daughter. I want her to live her life. but when I ask this and when I tell this to my mother, I didn't want to like hurt her feeling. I didn't say like this, like that, but in other words, I told her, no, I don't want her to be my friend. She said that my mother was never my friend. She was like very strict mother. I want this. I think this is some kind of like, I don't know. Our mother was not good mother for her. My mother was very like friendly for me, and I don't know what to do. I think for this we have to be balanced. Like we have to be friends, but also mother for them. I think like that. So for them to like not be disabled for their choices, but also not like someone who is lonely and always thinking that my mother is not present for me and she's not friend, like she don't have to tell me, like she, I want her to tell me everything, but I don't want to tell her everything like this. I hope I do something like this.
Mm-hmm.
There is all sons are like king of the family, but my father is very changed man. He's some kind of feminist in this desi household. He made very good decisions, and when I was getting married, he told my husband that she is not going to live with your parents. Want her this type of household and this and that. And my husband is also some kind of feminist. He said, I can do everything for her. I think good man is also here in South Asia, and I some like I hope everyone is like this, but there are very some people like this. So this is some kind of family dynamics in my society. Our household was always different, because it was always like, if there are this chicken leg pieces, my mother tried to give them to son, but my father said no. Everyone is getting chicken piece, or no one is getting any.
Good for him. I like it. How about you, Awana? What are the family dynamics like in your country and your home?
I can say it's very traditional, where they're like the men are the providers and the women are meant to be submissive and that's the same way it is in my home. But I find that it works for my parents because they are happy. So my dad was the full-time provider, paid for everything. Even though my mom works, her money is our money, and his money is for the house and everything. So it did work for them. But I find that for other, there are so many households where it does not work because the world just does not work like that anymore. I went to this relative's house and her husband has been out of it. Like, it's not just that men are supposed to be providers. They believe men are supposed to be worshipped. Like, men are not supposed to do anything in the house. So even in situations where the men are no longer working, they are just not meant to do anything. So I went to this relative's house and her husband had been out of a job for like 10 years. And she was the one working and providing for the home. But she was also still the one like doing 100% of like the housekeeping and everything. And he also had a rule that if he has not eaten, nobody else is supposed to eat. So he eats first, and then leftovers go to every other person in the house, even though he has 3 kids. And the wife, who is the one like providing for the home, also waits for him to finish eating. So if he needs extra and all of that, so every like the food is the priority in the house basically. Like is the baby of the house, even though it's not working.
Mhm.
So she wakes up in the morning, goes to work. She has to like make sure it's fed, make sure the house is clean. She gets back from work. She's going straight to the kitchen to prepare food for him and the house. And so even though it's not working, so that's the dynamic over here. Men are supposed to be like taken care of by the women in their lives. Like even they're supposed to also be providers. But even when they are not, they are still supposed to be taken care of because they're supposed to be very much respected. And we also have a thing of when women are the providers, it's almost like they have to apologize for it somehow. So you have more work now. Like it's supposed to be less work because, like, I mean, you're providing. So it's like you're apologizing for the fact that you're providing. So you have to do more work. You have to prove that, oh, you've been the provider in this house, is not getting to your head, and you still have respect. So, like, they do way more to make sure it's shown that they still have respect. So even though they're the ones bringing money to the house, they are still being women. Like, they are still, like, submissive and all of that. So the family dynamics over here is that men are supposed to be providers and women are supposed to be submissive and be the home caretakers. But even when they are not, which is a lot of situations where they are not because the economy and all of that, they are still supposed to just be taken care of by the women doing all of our submissive roles.
Yeah.
Interesting. Well, it is changing here, but like we have a very big country with a lot of different cultures in it. So, some parts are changing and some parts are not. But I watch my daughter and her husband, the way they handle their house, and I believe they share everything. I don't really know for sure, but I believe that to be true. I know they share the responsibilities for the children, and he's deeply involved in caring for them. And I feel like that's got to have a fabulous effect on the daughters. They have two
Yeah,
daughters.
I
I,
grew up with dad being the one with more time in the house to take care of the kids, surprisingly, because my mom is an entrepreneur and
Mhm.
he has like he has a more flexible job. So like in that aspect, he was even the one who took care of the kids more. Like after school, he was always the one in the house to take care of us and all of that. But
Maybe that's why they were happy. Because
yeah, this very traditional dynamics. Yeah.
but you said your dad took care of the kids more. Is that
Yeah.
what you said?
Yeah. We
And
had more time with him like growing up because he was always in the house. He
I
has more like his work is more flexible.
I feel like taking care of children is very rewarding for some people, and I think a lot of men, having been shut out from that is part of their emotional damage. They seem emotional. A lot of men seem emotionally damaged to me. They cannot understand what they're feeling. They don't know how to handle what they're feeling. And when they feel anything, it's kind of dangerous and violent, instead of, the whole range of emotions. And I feel like the more they care for children, the better they get at, recognizing emotion and expressing emotion, because hopefully you're not going to be violent with a small little darling baby, right?
Yeah, you don't have to control.
Of course, it's dangerous and violent if you don't allow yourself to feel any emotion. And at some point, they all come out at once, and they're only allowed to come out as anger. How are you going to be violent and dangerous and really angry? I think it's just the natural effect of not being allowed to feel.
Hmm. Well, I guess our hour is up. That was really went by fast and easily, and that kind of brought us back to the beginning of the thesis being about women being less emotional or high performing women, um, than men. I wanted to ask Studi, but she didn't show up, what she was going to talk about next week. So maybe Studi isn't going to run the show next week. If not, I think it'll be my turn, and I would like to discuss child abuse, because I feel like these same ideas that make women less and weak, and these stories that are told about women also put children at risk, boy
Yeah.
and girl children both. Um, and there's just a horrible plague of that all across the world, I believe. So maybe um, the three of you can think about that in the interim, and we'll talk about it next week, same time, same place. And for anyone who wants to know more, go to Fourth Wave on Medium. We have lots of fabulous stories there, and including the one this was centered on, Mona's story. High performance women are less emotional than men. So anyway, I just want to say thank you to everyone who came. I'm sorry, I tried to open the chat, so last time I was able to read someone's comments, but I couldn't seem to get the chat open. I don't know if anyone made any comments, but that's another little technical difficulty I'm going to have to work on. But thank you for coming if you came. See you next week. And you can also watch this after we're in 24 hours. It'll be posted on the YouTube site. And maybe everybody can say goodbye.
Yeah, bye-bye.
See you next time. Bye.
Great to see you all.
Bye.
Great to be with you.
Okay.